I'm Patrick Byers, Horticulture Field Specialist with University of Missouri Extension, and I'm so excited to be visiting with you today about fruit grafting. As we move into the spring, grafting season is upon us, and towards the end of this short video, I'll be talking about some upcoming grafting workshops, so stay tuned. What is grafting and budding? Grafting and budding, in its simplest form, is joining together separate plant parts in such a way that they form a union and then grow together to make one plant. And it's a process that we commonly use to propagate many different types of plants, including fruit plants. Fruit trees such as apples, pears, stone fruits, pawpaws, and persimmons. Nut trees such as pecans, chestnuts, walnuts, and grapes are commonly propagated through grafting and budding. Now, why would we consider grafting and budding? Well, first of all, it's the most practical way to propagate many types of plants, including many fruit plants. Another reason for grafting and budding is to realize the benefits of the components. For example, a dwarf apple tree is smaller than a full-size apple tree because of the influence of the rootstock on which the tree is grafted. Grafting and budding are also ways to change cultivars. For example, if we have an apple tree in an orchard that for whatever reason we no longer want that type of apple tree, we've got two options. One would be to hook a chain to it and pull it out of the ground and plant a new tree, or we can work with the tree that's already in place, and through a process called top working, change the cultivar. We'll have a root system and a trunk already in place, ready to grow, and by changing the top of the tree, we can develop a tree of a different cultivar. We can also use grafting and budding to repair damage. For example, if a young fruit tree is damaged by the chewing of a rabbit around the tree, in many cases this means the tree will die, but we can rescue that tree through a process called bridge grafting, save that tree, and it will continue to grow.
Grafting is an important way of propagating new fruit trees. Some of the reasons that we graft, first of all, it's oftentimes the most efficient way to produce new trees, but also very important is we can generate a tree to fit the space that we have available. For example, by using a rootstock such as M7, we can generate a semi-dwarf apple tree. Now I'd like to point out some of the parts of a grafted tree, because you'll hear these terms through the course of our modules. First of all, the top of the tree, as we see here, this is called the scion. Now we're interested in the scion because that's the part of the tree that will develop the fruit that we're going to enjoy later on. But equally important is the root system of the tree. This is called the rootstock. And down here at the base is the rootstock. Now the point where these two come together is the graft union. And the process of grafting, either using chip budding, whip and tongue grafting, or the Omega grafting tool, we will accomplish a successful graft union. Let's talk about the actual process of grafting and the tools and supplies that you will need. First of all, think about the space where you're going to work. Make sure you have plenty of elbow room. Make sure that it's an area where you're not going to be seeing interference from other people, etc., because you'll be using knives and you want to be safe. Secondly, make sure that you have a first aid kit close at hand. Even experienced grafters occasionally will nick their fingers and you may need to put a Band-Aid on to help with that. Make sure it's a surface that you can disinfect and sanitize. And for example, we have a tray here, and using alcohol, it's a good practice to sanitize the area so that you keep the area clean during the grafting process. Now, three things are needed for a successful graft union. First of all, you need some way to make good, clean, straight cuts so that the parts of the graft, the rootstock and the scion, come together cleanly. Secondly, you need a way to stabilize the graft union until the healing process is complete. And third, you need a way to keep that surface from drying out during the healing process. Let's talk first about the tools that you might use to make the graft. Traditionally, we use knives. Here's an example of a grafting knife. You would just disinfect it before using. I prefer to use box knives because the blade on a box knife is guaranteed to be sharp if you change the blade out each time that you do grafting. And again, that would need to be sanitized before you would use it. And then we have what's called the Omega grafting tool, and this can really up the percentage of success with grafting. So inside the Omega grafting tool is a blade that actually makes the cut on the rootstock and scion. And you can see this blade right here. I have it in front of me here. You can see how it's shaped. It makes a corresponding cut on the rootstock and scion. You get a good tight fit between the two parts. So the next thing you need, of course, is a way to stabilize the graft union and to keep it from drying out. And there's many ways that this can be done, but over the years I've come to prefer the use of what's called parafilm. And this is parafilm. It's a very thin piece of plastic that's coated with paraffin wax. It comes perforated, you pull it off, and this is enough to do a graft union. I'll demonstrate how it works. It sticks to itself so that you just place it on the piece of wood, and then you turn the piece of wood and wrap. And you're going to be wrapping this around the graft union. And you just continue wrapping and pulling until you have the entire graft surface dried or secured. The parafilm sticks to itself. It gives you enough strength to stabilize the union, and it keeps the union from drying out. The final thing you'll need is some way to label your grafted plants, and these plastic labels and a Sharpie are a good way to do that. And then you'll want to keep a pair of pruners handy because you'll be cutting off pieces of rootstock and pieces of scion as well. So to review, first of all, you need a surface that is clean, something that you can clean and sanitize. You need plenty of elbow room so that you don't have to worry about cutting other people. A first aid kit in case you nick yourself. And then the tools that you'll need. You'll need some way to make good sharp cuts, a knife, a box knife, or even the Omega grafting tool. And then a way to secure the graft union and keep it from drying out. And parafilm works great for that.
We have a number of apple grafting workshops coming up in March. And these grafting workshops, first of all, will help teach you the fundamental rules of grafting, what works and what doesn't work, and why it works. Then we'll demonstrate several different types of grafting. We'll be looking at the cleft graft, we'll be looking at the whip and tongue graft, we'll be looking at chip budding, and we'll also be looking at using grafting tools. And then everyone at the workshop is invited to try their hand at grafting. We provide the rootstocks, we provide the scion, we provide the supplies, and we provide the tools. And you will take home with you grafted apple trees ready for planting. We have 4 grafting workshops coming up. The first is on March 10th in Mountain Grove from 1 o'clock to 3 p.m. in the afternoon. The second, Springfield on March 11th, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the evening. And then we have 2 workshops in Kansas City, both on March 12th, one from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock and one from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. The charge for the workshop is $30, which includes all supplies, 2 rootstocks, and scion. And there'll be the opportunity to purchase additional rootstocks if desired. Further information on the workshop or registration information is found at the link here on the slide. And please feel free to reach out to me directly. My contact information will be on the final slide of the presentation. 2 excellent resources on grafting and budding are the publications Grafting and Budding from University of Missouri Extension. They're easy to find with a Google search, or you can check out the links that are here on the slide. And again, I'd like to thank you, and feel free, as I mentioned, to reach out to me, to Patrick Byers, Horticulture Field Specialist. My email is byerspl@missouri.edu.